Why is it that the moment a woman ages, she's called useless, while men gain respect with every scar? You've seen it. Grey hair, wrinkles, silence in a crowded room, and suddenly she scrambles for validation, begging not to be invisible. Machiavelli warned, once your worth depends on their attention, you've already lost control. Power is never given, it is taken. In this video, I'll expose how older women reveal their hidden psychology and the silent strategies men must master to reverse the game. If you're tired of being the one chasing while respect slips through your hands, don't see this as advice, see it as your turning point. Stay until the end. We are Simplify Success. 1. Societal perceptions and double standards. The moment society tells you that men and women are equal in how they are judged is the moment you should laugh, because you know it is a lie. A man gains respect with each scar, each hardship survived. A woman gains shame with each line on her face, each rumor of experience. What they call equality is just another mask, one that hides a brutal double standard. Alex was 34, working construction in Dallas, long days in the sun, calloused hands, and a reputation for never backing down from overtime. His friends teased him for being too serious, too disciplined, but deep down he knew discipline was the only reason he was still standing while others fell apart. One night, at a bar, he met a woman who seemed different. Tattoos on her arms, laughter loud enough to drown the music. She leaned close, whispering that she wanted freedom, that she didn't need a man to define her. He smiled, thinking her strength matched his own. But later, when talk turned to children, her face changed. She scoffed, "Why would I want to ruin my life with that?" For a moment, Alex stayed quiet. Then she pressed harder. "Don't you dare pull out. What, you think I'm not good enough?" That was the instant he saw. Her freedom was a performance, but his responsibility was expected to be real. In that flash, Alex realized he had been set up. Her laughter was not intimacy, it was leverage. Her independence was not strength, it was a shield against judgment. And him, he was only a prop, expected to provide validation, protection, even money, while she kept her so-called freedom untouched. The air turned cold around him. He looked into her eyes and saw not affection, but calculation. The man who thought loyalty was love discovered that loyalty was being used as leverage. When was the last time she laughed in your face while demanding your responsibility? Say it straight. I'll show you the move that flips the script. Just type a single word in the comments now. Machiavelli warned, in the theater of desire, the man who offers clarity too soon is erased from the script. Women do not always seek the truth. They seek the illusion that flatters them. To break the illusion is to become disposable. In chess, the pawn that shows its move too early is sacrificed without thought. What comes next isn't noise. It's the moment you'll see how silence bends perception, and how absence becomes leverage. He thought that being open about his intentions would earn respect. She thought that openness was weakness, and weakness was boring. The small act is simple. Stop explaining. Stop filling the silence. Tonight, when you feel the urge to justify yourself, hold it. Let her wonder. The silence will do what words never could. You'll notice she stops testing you, not because she suddenly respects you, but because she can no longer read you. That is when control shifts quietly back into your hands. And here is the truth you cannot afford to miss. Society will always praise women for their choices while condemning men for the consequences. If you fail to see the design, you will stay trapped in their script. The next part reveals why aging and stereotypes are not insults but weapons, and how women use them to flip the blame onto you. Skip it, and you'll keep playing blind in someone else's theater. 2. Aging and stereotypes. The cruelest truth about aging is not the wrinkles or the grey hair. It is that time adds value to men and subtracts value from women. A scar on a man is proof of battles survived. A line on a woman's face is treated as evidence that she is losing her worth. The same years that crown him with respect strip her of hers. That is the double edge no one dares to name. Ethan was 38, a financial analyst in Phoenix. His schedule was brutal, but he carried himself with quiet discipline. At a networking event, he met Laura. She was witty, energetic, and admitted she had been divorced twice. At first, Ethan respected her confidence, but as the night unfolded, the mask slipped. When he joked about being tired from long weeks, she leaned closer and whispered, "Wait until you're my age, then the pain really begins." He smiled politely. Minutes later, she pulled out her phone, showing him old photos of herself in her 20s. "Look," she laughed, "I used to be the girl everyone wanted." The laugh cracked mid-sentence. Her eyes searched his for reassurance. Ethan froze. In that instant, he understood she was not sharing memories. She was pleading for him to deny the truth she already knew. He had walked into what felt like a trap, disguised as nostalgia. The room around them grew loud with music, but Ethan felt only silence. He saw her tapping her glass nervously, her smile faltering when he didn't immediately praise her beauty. It was not conversation anymore. It was a transaction. She wanted him to pay in validation for the years she felt had stolen her currency. That was the moment he saw the divide. Men carry age like armor, women carry it like a sentence, and the desperation it creates is not attraction, it is repulsion. He thought loyalty to her story was connection. She thought loyalty to her story was leverage. Next time she asks if she still looks young, will you rescue her or hold silence? If you dare, comment now, and I'll show you how silence becomes control. One word is enough. Machiavelli warned that appearances rule perception, and perception rules power. In the theater of desire, age is not measured in years but in control. When she believes her fading youth is a debt, every man she meets becomes a creditor, and when a man plays the role of creditor, he is not desired, he is used. That is why respect is rarely granted where desperation bleeds through. Soon you will see why saying less doesn't just protect you, it pulls people closer. He thought her honesty about aging was intimacy. She saw it as a chance to secure reassurance. And reassurance, once given, becomes surrender. Surrender. The habit to end today is simple. Do not rescue with compliments. Do not ease the silence when someone begs you to deny reality. Let the silence work. When you do not feed desperation, you expose its emptiness. You will notice she stops testing you, not because she accepts herself, but because she realizes she cannot bend you. That is when respect quietly shifts. What comes next will sting deeper. How women's self-sabotage destroys their own chances at respect, and why they do not need enemies because they already turn the knife on themselves. Skip it, and you will keep mistaking pity for intimacy, and you will never see the hidden war happening inside female psychology. 3. Women's self-sabotage. The sharpest wound a woman receives does not always come from a man. It often comes from another woman. That is the betrayal no one admits. Men may ignore, reject, or walk away, but women are the ones who turn the knife on each other. And the tragedy is that they call it empowerment, while bleeding themselves dry. Marcus was 41, a regional sales manager in Denver. Every morning he dressed sharp, tie knotted perfectly, carrying himself with quiet authority. He had dated Lisa, 36, for 6 months. At first she seemed radiant, confident, charming, always the center of attention among her friends. One evening, Marcus joined her at a small dinner party. He expected warmth. Instead, he watched the atmosphere turn strange the moment a younger woman entered the room. Lisa's smile stiffened. Her compliments to the girl dripped with venom disguised as kindness. "Your hair is so long. It must be hard to maintain. You'd look more mature if you cut it." The younger woman laughed nervously, and Marcus noticed her hand brush the ends of her hair with sudden doubt. Later, when the girl stepped away, Lisa leaned close and whispered, "She thinks she's better than us. Watch. Someone needs to humble her." That was the moment Marcus saw through the performance. Lisa's charm was not confidence, it was competition. Every laugh at the table was a blade pointed at another woman. Every glance was a test of who held attention, and the irony cut deep. Lisa claimed men were the problem, that men diminished women, that men created insecurity. Yet here she was, dismantling her own kind, piece by piece, for the thrill of temporary superiority. He thought her boldness was power. She thought boldness was sabotage. How many times have you joined her in tearing another woman down just to keep the peace? Don't lie. I'll explain why that's the moment you lost power. Write a short phrase below. Machiavelli warned that power is rarely taken by outsiders, it is eroded from within. In the theater of desire, the mask women wear for men often cracks first in front of other women. The illusion of unity is broken by envy. Like a chessboard, the queen may seem the strongest piece, but when she turns against her own pawns, the board collapses, and no man has to make a single move. Up next, how mystery bends perception, and how to weaponize it without saying a word. He thought her fire was passion. She saw her fire as a weapon against rivals, and when fire burns without purpose, it only leaves ash. The small shift is simple. Stop trying to rescue someone from the war she wages with herself. Do not join her in tearing others down. Do not echo her jealousy. Hold silence instead. You will notice people leaning in, not to hear better, but to understand what you are not saying. That silence makes you untouchable. What follows will sting even more. Because once women destroy each other, they are left with only one source of validation, men. And that is when the cycle turns darker. Skip what comes next and you will miss the hidden law of female psychology, the way desperation for approval becomes the very chain that keeps men in control. 4. Seeking male validation. The harshest prison a woman builds is not the judgment of men, it is the distrust of other women. When she cannot rely on her own kind, she is forced to search for approval in the one place that was never designed to give her wholeness, men. And that search does not create love, it creates dependence. Daniel was 35, a software engineer in Seattle. His life was steady. Long hours in front of screens, gym in the evenings, weekends spent catching up on projects. He met Julia on a dating app. She was 31, witty, with a sharp edge in her humor. On their third date, Daniel noticed something unsettling. Every time another woman walked past their table, Julia's posture stiffened, her laughter grew louder. Her hand gripped his arm harder, as if she was afraid someone might take her place. At one point, she leaned in and asked, "Do you think she's prettier than me?" Daniel chuckled awkwardly, thinking it was a joke, but her eyes did not blink. She needed the answer like oxygen. Later that night, she scrolled through TikTok beside him, showing clips of other women, influencers with perfect skin, endless followers. Her smile faltered. "I could never compete with that," she whispered. Then, almost defiantly, she added, "But men still want me, right?" In that moment, Daniel realized he was not dating Julia, he was feeding a void. She was not asking to be loved. She was begging to be validated. He thought attention would make her feel secure. She thought attention was survival. When did you last answer her trap question, "Do you think she's prettier than me?" If you dare admit it, comment now and I'll give you the way to keep control. Just one word. Machiavelli warned that when desire becomes need, power is lost. In the theater of female psychology, validation is the stage light. The moment she steps under it, she glows, but only as long as someone else keeps the switch on. That is why she will bend her words, silence her thoughts, punish her own body to remain seen. She confuses desire with identity, forgetting that once the light shifts, she disappears. Like a mask that cracks under pressure, the illusion of confidence falls apart the second no one is clapping. Soon, you'll see why saying less doesn't just protect you, it pulls people closer. He thought her hunger for compliments was affection. She saw her hunger as proof of existence. And hunger, once exposed, is never attractive. The immediate shift is small. Do not give validation on demand. Do not answer the trap question that begins with, "Do you think?" Hold steady. Silence. Watch as she reveals her dependence, because silence exposes need more than any answer ever could. You will notice her tone shift, not because she suddenly believes in herself, but because she realizes she cannot extract certainty from you. That is when control quietly shifts back to your side. And what comes next is even more dangerous, because when validation fails, women often turn to the one place that exposes their true nature: relationships themselves. The next part reveals why divorce statistics uncover what women rarely admit: that the problem was never men alone. Skip it, and you will keep mistaking approval for intimacy, never realizing that desperation is not attraction, but control reversed. 5. Relationship dynamics and divorce statistics. The most dangerous truth about relationships is not that men fail women. It is that women often fail each other, and then blame men for the collapse. When two women enter a partnership with no man to accuse, the mask comes off. And what the statistics reveal is devastating. Even without men, the fractures remain. Anthony was 39, a firefighter in Chicago. Steady job, respected in his community, but scarred by a divorce that drained him financially and emotionally. One night at a friend's gathering, a woman insisted that men are always the cause of marital failure. If men were more loyal, if men were more supportive, marriage would last, she said firmly. Anthony stayed quiet, but inside he thought of the research he had recently read. In 2019, a study by the Office of National Statistics revealed that same-sex female marriages had the highest divorce rate of all unions, nearly 72%. The top reasons? Feeling ignored, inequality, betrayal, even violence. He replayed those words as the woman continued her speech, and something inside him hardened. If men were truly the root of all failures, how could the numbers tell a different story? That was the moment Anthony realized the lie he had carried through his own divorce. His ex-wife had accused him of not doing enough, of not being attentive, of failing to make her happy. He accepted it with guilt. But now he saw the hunger for happiness was a bottomless well. It was not about him. It was about a script wired deep into biology and culture. He thought devotion could create joy. She thought devotion was a tool to demand more. If you could send one message to yourself before you signed the papers, what would it be? Be ruthless. I'll rewrite it in Machiavelli's voice. Drop a short line in the comments. Machiavelli warned that when a people cannot govern themselves, they will turn on their leaders. In the theater of love, the same law applies. When women fail to find contentment within themselves, they turn on men as the nearest ruler. And even when men are absent, they turn on each other. Like soldiers who mutiny without an enemy in sight, they reveal that the war was never external, it was always internal. In 30 seconds, I'll show you why this fear is actually a signal of your hidden strength. He thought loyalty meant peace. She saw loyalty as an obligation to be broken when emotions shifted. And when peace becomes a prison, betrayal becomes the escape. The small act is simple. Stop accepting responsibility for a happiness you did not destroy. Do not absorb the accusation that you failed when statistics show the pattern is universal. The next time someone demands that you make them happy, pause. Remember, happiness that is outsourced is a weapon, not a gift. You'll notice the tone change, not because you fix them, but because you stopped letting them use your silence as an admission of guilt. And what comes next will close the trap if you are not prepared. Because the truth about relationships is not just in failure rates, it is in the brutal reality that only a tiny fraction of women are worth long-term commitment. The final section reveals why vetting is not cynicism but survival. Miss it and you will keep gambling your future on illusions that were designed to collapse. 6. This is the importance of vetting. The most dangerous illusion in love is thinking that commitment itself creates security. It does not. What creates security is the discipline to choose correctly before commitment is made. Men destroy their futures not because they marry, but because they marry the wrong woman. That is the truth no one wants to face. Jason was 42, a project manager in Houston. He was steady, cautious, the kind of man who planned vacations 6 months ahead and paid every bill on time. He thought that structure would protect him from chaos. 3 years ago, he met Amanda. She was 30, lively, quick to smile, and seemed to admire his discipline. After 6 months of dating, she pushed for marriage. "Why wait?" she asked, eyes bright, voice warm. Jason hesitated, but her persistence wore him down. Within a year, they stood in front of family and friends, promising forever. Forever lasted 14 months. The first cracks appeared as small complaints about money, about his long hours, about his lack of spontaneity. Then came the late nights out with friends, the secrecy around her phone, the cold silences at dinner. Jason finally confronted her, only to hear words that cut sharper than betrayal. "I don't feel excited anymore. I need someone who can give me more." The man who thought planning was protection realized that his discipline had been used as scaffolding for someone else's short-term fantasy. His mistake was not the divorce. His mistake was failing to vet before he invested his life. This week, what boundary will you set that no woman can rush? Say it out loud. I'll show you how to protect it. Type just one word and you begin. Machiavelli warned that fortune favors those who prepare for floods before the river breaks its banks. In relationships, vetting is that preparation. To marry without testing character is to build on sand and call it stone. The mask of charm always cracks, but only time exposes what lies beneath. Vetting is not cynicism, it is strategy. It is the dam that keeps destruction from drowning you. What comes next isn't noise. It's the move that makes them addicted to your absence. He thought dating was proof of compatibility. She saw dating as a trial period to extract stability. And when stability became expected, desire disappeared. The small shift is simple. Extend the time before commitment. Refuse the pressure to decide within months. 3 to 5 years reveal truths that charm cannot hide. Do not confuse consistency in the first 6 months with permanence. You will notice people leaning in, not because they are patient, but because they cannot manipulate what they cannot rush. That patience is your filter. And now the circle closes. Every lie, every double standard, every desperate search for validation has led here. The choice between ruin and resilience. The final conclusion will show why authenticity and patience are not soft virtues, but weapons of survival. Miss it, and you will walk blind into the same traps that countless men before you never escaped. This is where everything comes full circle. What you just watched wasn't about chasing approval or escaping loneliness. It was about reclaiming power by seeing through illusions that society feeds you. You saw that women age into desperation when they trade respect for validation, that sabotage often comes from within, and that men lose only when they stop vetting with discipline. Power is never given, it is taken. And remember, this isn't about being cold, it is about being untouchable. You don't need to argue to be respected. You don't need to chase to be remembered. The more you learn to withhold, the more others lean in. The less you explain, the more your presence grows heavy. Just last month, a subscriber named David, a 37-year-old entrepreneur from Toronto, wrote to us. He had been through a divorce that left him drained, convinced he was the failure. But after hearing our breakdown of Machiavellian strategy, he stopped explaining himself and started filtering who deserved access to him. 3 months later, he told us business partners began respecting his time, women stopped testing his limits, and for the first time in years, he felt in control. His words were sharp. Respect returns the moment you stop begging for it. You could be next. Subscribe now, because the shift begins quietly with one decision, but it rewrites everything.